Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to my YouTube channel, right? Most of you guys might know me as NapesCape from my Stoner Talk podcast YouTube channel, where I like to get drunk, high by myself, sometimes with a friend, and talk about things that I like, things that I hate, things that I dislike, most importantly myself. So go ahead and check that out. But today I'm going to be making another Is It Gay video. Is It Gay number 2, part of the new series that I'm starting. So go ahead and check out both of those things that I'm doing. And then I also released an album called 0 Likes, 0 Plays, 0 Followers. It's out now on all streaming platforms, Apple Music, YouTube Music, Spotify, wherever you listen to music. So go ahead and check that out. But today I'm going to be doing a review of Justice League Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 3. One of the gayest movies I think I've ever seen in my entire life. Part 1 was pretty bad. Part 2 was horrible, and part 3 is really, really gay, and that's the best way I could describe it. So don't watch it. Save your money. It's a waste of time. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and get right into it, right? So Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 3 begins with the multiversal Justice League fighting the Anti-Monitor, like some super gay giant being who just erases universes, and then they're all getting their ass kicked. They're about to lose, right? But then the Monitor, is killed by Supergirl. He does this gay thing where his corpse starts glowing, and then he gets absorbed into the satellite. Super gay, and then the satellite ends up like converting all that energy towards the other Earths around the multiverse, and then all of them get transported into this like weird pocket dimension called the Bleed, which is like a universe outside of the multiverse, I guess, like safe from the Anti-Monitor, who's like about to beat the shit out of the Justice League right here in this scene. But basically they get saved by the satellite, right, transporting them to the Bleed. They end up running into Wonder Woman, whose universe was erased, but she ended up surviving because she's immortal. And they're basically explaining to her like, hey man, we're in this place called the Bleed where time and space doesn't really like make sense anymore. The laws of physics don't apply. And then like we have like all the multiversal Justice League, right? Dr. Hoshi, she's gay, I hate her. And then Supergirl being a little whiny bitch in the back, right? We have this gay scene where Lois Lane, a super girl boss, I really hate her, she's really gay. And Black Canary, another girl boss, like almost every girl in this movie is a girl boss and they're really annoying. But basically, a super gay scene where the Justice League is fighting dinosaurs. Yes, the Justice League is fighting dinosaurs, right? Time traveling dinosaurs. Super stupid, super gay. I didn't even like this part is not interesting at all. We see civilians getting mauled to death, right? We see civilians running and all that, and then Black Canary and all the other heroes like step in to save the day, right? We have another gay scene where Superman is struggling to fight off 4 pteranodons, right? He's getting his kicked. And then another gay scene where Aquaman is about to get eaten by a T-Rex, and then somehow Lois Lane throws a trash can about 100 yards into the dinosaur's head and somehow causes damage, right? So I guess Lois Lane is stronger than Superman in this movie, right? But then Aquaman does this gay thing where like an octopus comes out of the ocean, right? Grabs a T-Rex and then ends up taking the T-Rex back to the ocean, I guess, to eat him. Straight out of Jurassic World, right? What a ripoff. And then these freaking 2 gay guys on a Jeep called the Losers, I guess. I don't know who they are. Super dumb, but they really are losers. They show up, right? Start shooting guns, and the dinosaurs run away, right? I guess they're scared of gay guys on a Jeep. And then we have a cool scene actually where Lex Luthor is torturing Psycho Pirate, right? Psycho Pirate's one of the gayest characters of this whole freaking franchise that they're doing. So I like seeing him get tortured. I really hate that dude. Lex Luthor's kind of bad in this movie, if I'm being honest. He's pretty cool. I like him. And then he's basically telling Psycho Pirate to call that Anti-Monitor, right? After that, we have a super gay scene of the Bat family fighting these super gay versions of Nazis, right? Where basically instead of swastikas, they have like these 2 lightning bolt symbols, right? And then we have another horrible scene where Robin's fighting Nazi Bane. He ends up killing Bane, and then there's like a freaking super, super gay animation, right? Like, look at this. Look how horrible this shit is. So yeah, Bane dies, and then Robin kills a bunch of Nazis, but then they end up infecting Batman with fear toxin, right? So Batman ends up hallucinating when he was on Warworld, and he ended up running into Barry from the end of Crisis on Infinite Earths. And then we have a cool scene actually where Arthur, or Aquaman, right, his universe is about to get wiped out, and then instead of staying on the satellite, he tells Mr. Terrific to send him home, right, because he wants to be with his family. So then Mr. Terrific ends up sending Aquaman back to his home dimension, and then Aquaman's with his wife Mira and then his child, and then they end up getting killed together, right? It's a pretty touching scene, I lost my dad a couple years back, so like stuff like this really like hits close to home, even though I wish it didn't. So yeah, Aquaman, right? He ends up dying with his kids because he wants to be with his family, right? Pretty touching scene, pretty cool. And then I guess after this whole like cool scene, we have another kind of cool scene, right, where we get the introduction of Doctor Fate, right? So like Doctor Fate is end up helping Batman. He's helping Batman to try to like confirm that his hallucination was real, right? That he actually saw the Flash at the end of Crisis. So then they go through like everything the Flash did, and they're like, oh yeah, so that was the Flash that appeared before you, right? So then they get the idea that basically they're gonna have to find John Constantine and then ask him like for clues, I guess, because he's basically somehow tied to this whole thing that's going on. So the Justice League, another gay scene, right? The Justice League goes into a bar of like random cowboys, and they end up just the Justice League like beat the shit out of cowboys. So in this movie, we have the Justice League fighting dinosaurs, the Justice League fighting Nazis, and now Justice League fighting cowboys, bro. Like, does it get any gayer than this? Unfortunately, it does, right? So we have this weird scene, right, where Doctor Fate ends up like escalating the situation unwillingly, right? And then he ends up getting into John Constantine's memories. Him and Batman basically like see the events of what happened after Justice League Dark Apocalypse War. And for some reason in this version, we have the Tomorrowverse version of Flash instead of the DCAU version, which was like a wiped out, I guess, after that. So then John Constantine ended up infecting the Flash with some sort of virus. It's like so deadly, it just kills everybody like as soon as he enters the room. So he ends up like going to Darkseid. He's about to kill him, but then obviously Barry's a like good hero, right? He wouldn't kill an innocent baby, even though it is Darkseid, even though it basically killed all his family and friends, right? So Barry backs out because he's a little and then he ends up running away, but then he ends up infecting Darkseid unknowingly, right? Unknowingly, and then Darkseid ends up dying. So I guess when Darkseid dies, he's like a staple of the universe, kind of like an anchor being, right? Kind of like in Wolverine and Deadpool, right? Pretty weird that they're both doing this shit. But then, so Darkseid dies. He's an anchor being, which caused the multiverse to branch out, which in turn caused the Anti-Monitor to try to wipe out the multiverse, right? So we have another gay scene where all the Justice League, multiversal Justice League, fighting the Anti-Monitor, but then Lex Luthor ends up getting possessed by what's his fool's name, Martian Manhunter, and then they take down like the gates or whatever the hell. They disable the satellite. Martian Manhunter's on War World, and he ends up shooting some sort of planet-sized blast, some sort of gay Death Star, and hits the Anti-Monitor, but doesn't really do shit to him. And then another gay scene where these like 3 random Green Lanterns and this one random purple guy. If I'm being honest, the purple guy actually looks pretty cool, but I just don't know DC Comics enough to know who the hell these guys are. They all look stupid. I don't care about them, and they're dumb and gay. But basically, they give John Stewart his ring back, right? A lot of Johns in this movie. They give John Stewart his ring back, and then another scene where the Anti-Monitor shoots this universe annihilating blast, and then somehow 4 Green Lanterns or 10 maybe end up like stopping it, where this blast was literally wiping out Earths and entire universes, but somehow a bunch of Green Lanterns can just stop the blast. Like, why don't we just do this in the first place, right? We could have done this in Crisis Part 1 and ended up preventing the whole thing, right? So then Warworld, John Jones, Martian Manhunter, ends up shooting another blast which goes right through the Anti-Monitor, smokes this fool, and then Kara, with the power of 52 suns, ends up going inside him, blowing up, right? Anti-Monitor is dead, but then oh no, Kara's dead. And then, oh no, there's 1,000 Anti-Monitors, right? Kind of like if you watch Dragon Ball Z, watch Meta Cooler's Revenge, whatever the hell it's called, right? So it was a pretty cool scene. And then Wonder Woman ends up giving her life and immortality to this thing called the Miracle Machine, which is gay. She ends up giving her immortality to it, which creates a monoverse, right? So basically, the movie ends with this like sort of universe. All the heroes go in, and then now there's a new monoverse where Wonder Woman is now not immortal, I guess. So I mean, that's it. And then if I had to be really, really honest, right? If I had to describe this movie in one word, it would have to be gay. This movie is one of the gayest movies I've ever seen, right? This is coming from someone who's a huge fan of the Justice League, right? I've watched a lot of Justice League shows, seen a lot of Justice League movies. I was actually a huge fan of the DC animated universe, right? Starting with Flashpoint Paradox and ending with Justice League Dark Apocalypse War. Basically watched all the movies in between, and I really liked them. I really like the art style. I like the seriousness of the DCAU. And then I'm sad that the DCAU was replaced by this gay Tomorrowverse, right? where like every girl is just some sort of woke girl boss, right? They don't need no man, right? All the men are dumb. They get dumbed down in their roles. Superman is gay in this I guess verse. The Tomorrow verse, Superman's really dumb. I hate him. His design's dumb. He's weak. He doesn't really do anything actually, like throughout the whole part 1, part 2, and part 3 actually. The older version of Superman, pretty dumb. The Gal Gadot version of Wonder Woman, the animated version in this movie, horrible. I hate her. She's dumb. She's annoying. The freaking Anti-Monitor is gay. Glad he's dead. You know, Satellite's dumb. Supergirl, I'm glad she's dead. She was super annoying. She literally killed her, I guess, adoptive father, the Anti-Monitor. Freaking, she's so mad. She blows a laser beam, ends up like obliterating this fool, right? And instantly says, "Oh my God, what did I just do?" Like, are you dumb? Do you really not know? So I guess her killing the freaking Anti-Monitor ended up working in her favor, where they're getting transported into the bleed, which ends up leading to all these gay events, right? Like the Justice League fighting dinosaurs, the Justice League fighting Nazis, right? Oh, I mean, Nazis enhanced with villain weapons and strength, I guess, right? I don't know exactly how to explain it. The rogues weapons. And then finally the freaking Justice League fighting cowboys in the Wild West, right? And then that gay scene where Wonder Woman ends up running to some dude named, his name is Bat Lash, I guess. And then Wonder Woman knows him as, I think it's Steve Trevor, right? It's Steve Trevor's, I guess, ancestor, right? She ends up telling him like, "Hey man, I met your grandson, or I met one of your descendants. I fucked him, and then he died in my arms, right?" And then the grandpa says like, "Hey man, he's lucky, right?" Like one of the gayest scenes of the movie. Kind of like, and I feel like one thing that kind of like struck me, I guess, about Crisis Part 3 was kind of like the scene where we have the Anti-Monitor doing some sort of blast, and then the Green Lanterns are able to like freaking block his universe-ending, annihilating powers, right? Which is like pretty dumb. And then right after that, he does another universe-annihilating blast, and then freaking John with the freaking planet, the gay Death Star that he's using, John Jones, that is, right, is able to destroy it and then damage the Anti-Monitor. So it's like, if we had just done this from the very, very beginning in part 1, right, none of this would be necessary, right? Because in part 1, they had this wave that they were trying to, I guess, defend against, but then they couldn't because it kept wiping out universes. But it's like, I mean, apparently in this movie, they're showing us that they were able to stop it the whole time, you know? Obviously, they didn't know that at the time, but it's like, basically, like, the events of the entire part 1, part 2, and part 3 didn't really need to happen then, right? And then one thing I kind of wanted to say too is like, me personally, I never really read Crisis on Infinite Earths, like the storyline. I know that there was one that was done by the Grant Gustin version of the Flash, right? The CW Flash, where he did this Crisis on Infinite Earths thing. I'm pretty sure it was gay. I didn't watch it. But I never read the original Crisis on Infinite Earths storyline. And then after watching this movie, and I guess part 1, part 2, and part 3, the entire little event, I guess, as a whole, I'm pretty glad I didn't read the comics, right? Because I'm pretty sure that if I had read the comics and then I ended up watching this movie, like, I probably would have really, 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 like, hated it, right? Would have really ruined my experience. I mean, I went into the movie blind and I still hated it, but I'm like, thank God I didn't read the comics, because, like, it probably would have been a super, like, huge letdown for me, right? I mean, it was pretty bad as it is. Like, this movie was horrible. But I'm going to go and probably read the comics and then appreciate, like, wow, what a good story. What a great execution, right? What good characters. What good world building, right? Like, nothing like this horrible movie that I had to suffer and sit through, right? So, yeah, Crisis on Infinite Earths, one of the worst movies that I've ever seen. I'm not a huge fan of the whole Tomorrowverse that they did, like, after the DCAU, I guess, kind of ended. So I guess, like, right off the bat with the Injustice movie that they came out with a couple years ago, right? I never really read the Injustice storyline as well. I mean, like, the comics, but I do remember the original game that came out, right? That was kind of my introduction to Injustice, the Injustice universe, right? And then I remember all the cutscenes, the story, right? Pretty cool. But then the Injustice movie that came out, it was like one of the worst movies I've ever seen. Horrible. I hated the animation. I hated the direction that they went. Also, I hate Mr. Terrific. I have no idea who he is. I don't hate him because he's black or anything. Obviously, like, I dislike him because of that. No, I'm just kidding. That's a joke, obviously. But I mean, he's just freaking stupid. Like, what the hell are his powers? That he's smart? Like, we haven't really seen him do anything. Obviously, like he has access to the multiverse, so he's like some sort of Black America Chavez, I guess. So it's pretty dumb. I hate Mr. Terrific. I hate his design. Mr. Terrific's a gay name. His design's gay. His powers are gay. Like everything about Mr. Terrific, I hate. So if I see Mr. Terrific, I just hate it automatically. It's dumb, right? And then another thing I was kind of noticing about this movie too is like I'm a fan of DC, but I kind of like mostly only know the I didn't say the Avengers, damn. I only know the Justice League, but I don't really know them too well, right? Like in part 2, it's kind of revealed that for some reason, Vixen was a founding member of the Justice League in this universe for some reason, or I guess a Tomorrowverse, I should say. So it's like there's so many characters and cameos in this scene, or in this movie, I'm sorry, that like I was literally like, there's like so many scenes. There's like 100 superheroes standing next to each other, and I'm like, dude, I can name probably 10 of them, maybe 11 if I'm really like get a good look at them. But like there's so many different versions of people and so many multiversal like variants and variations of heroes that I'm like, dude, I don't know who these people are, and I have no idea like why I should even care, right? So it's like, I mean, it's pretty cool seeing like different versions of heroes, but at the same time I'm like, I have no idea who they are, right? So like Dr. Midnight, no idea who she is. Nightshade, no idea who she is. Psycho Pirate, I had no idea who that guy is. You know, obviously everyone knows Supergirl, everyone knows Dick Grayson, you know, everyone knows the Flash, everyone knows like the core members of the Justice League. Obviously Mr. Terrific, no idea who that guy is, pretty dumb. So yeah, there's like just too many heroes, too many variants and variations for me to like actually keep track of. Like if I want to know who all these people are, I'm gonna have to watch a YouTube video or a breakdown or something, right? I'm pretty sure there's some out there. I can't really like name drop any of them because I don't really know who is doing the review of this. I'm not really like into the YouTube community like that. I don't really care about anybody else. But yeah, I'm like, yo, there's way too many people for me to fucking care about, right? There's Jesus Christ, how many like different heroes did we see, right? So yeah, it's annoying, it's dumb. Another thing I didn't really like is like I don't really like this. It's kind of a, I mean, it's a small thing. It's not really a big deal, but I'm not really a huge fan of the way they do this like DCAU art style, right? I mean, I'm sorry, Tomorrowverse art style, right? I wasn't really a fan of the DCAU version of Superman, right? He looked super weird and wonky, super wide body and a super wide head. So he looked really ugly. He looked really dumb. But I mean, that was way better than the freaking Tomorrowverse Superman that we get, right? Like the Tomorrowverse Superman, from what I'm seeing, he gets beat up by he gets his ass kicked by, you know, everything, right? He gets beat up by dinosaurs, gets freaking beat up by freaking heroes, you know, like Superman of the Tomorrowverse just gets beat up like left and right. He's weak. He gets pushed around by Lois. He gets fucking put down by her. So I hate the version of Lois Lane that was in this movie, right? That's kind of like one thing I also didn't understand about this movie as well, because basically what's his fool's name? The Monitor, right? He basically shot at him and Harbinger, which is aka Supergirl, right? I guess they merged the Harbinger character and Supergirl. No idea who Harbinger is, but still pretty gay. But I guess Harbinger and the Monitor were going around the multiverse and recruiting like the most like, I guess, the best heroes, the best heroes, the smartest minds, whatever. He was trying to get like people who were capable, right? They're even leaving out specific people. Like at one point, who was it? Like when the Flash, right? Like they came specifically for the Flash in part 1, and then stupid ass Iris West is like, "Oh, we have 4 superheroes. Why don't you just take them all?" You know, when it's like, "Yo, I'm here specifically for one of them. I'm not here for freaking 5 people we don't need, right, to join our freaking team." So like just the fact that the Harbinger and the Monitor were going around specifically handpicking heroes they thought would help like solve this crisis, I guess, right? So it's like pretty weird that we get to see Lois Lane for some reason on the freaking satellite calling the shots with the Justice League, right? So I guess in this universe, Lois Lane is a member of the Justice League. So Lois Lane is making the decisions for the Justice League, I guess. No idea why. I hate Lois Lane, this version at least, right? At least it's not the version from freaking My Adventures with Superman, right? It's like this dumb animated anime type show they're trying to do about the origins of Superman, where Jimmy Olsen for some reason is black and gay, and then Lois Lane of that universe is black and gay, I guess. She has a dyke haircut. So I mean, yeah, so Lois Lane of this version of this universe, the Tomorrowverse, is horrible. But at least it's not the version of the My Adventures with Superman, right? And then that's kind of like I guess that's like the only like I guess one of the only good things that I guess came out of this movie was the ending, right? I mean, it was pretty underwhelming, pretty dumb, but I mean, it was better than I wouldn't say better than what I was expecting, but I mean, it was like it kind of clears things up, right? Because towards the end, we see the Anti-Monitor. He's like going around wiping out universes, like ending like worlds, ending franchises, right? So we see him attacking like the 2000s Justice League, right, where they're trying their best to stop the crisis. They all end up getting wiped out, and then we see the Super Friends version of the Justice League, right, like the old 1950s, 1960s one. Excuse me. We see them getting wiped out. We see the Teen Titans universe getting wiped out. So we see all these different universes getting wiped out, and then at the end, they create a new monoverse, right? So basically, going forward, there's only going to be one universe for the Justice League. I don't know if it's going to extend to all the Justice League or just the DC animated universe, but I don't really understand how they're going to do that going forward, because obviously, like, there's so many different franchises, right? Like, what do we have? We have Teen Titans Go. We have Titans. We have freaking this Crisis Part 1, Part 2, Part 3. We have a new Superman coming out. We have Joker Part 2, right? We have freaking Aquaman Part 2, Blue Beetle. We have like what are the newest ones? I can't even think, but we have basically so many DC movies like coming out, right? Oh, we had The Flash, right? The Flash 2 with Ezra Miller that came out recently. So it's like we have like so many different continuations and variations and franchises of the DC. Like, I think that's what I think the live action movie should kind of like go in that direction as well, right? Like, hey, you know what? We overdid it with all these different universes and these different multiverses and different franchises. Like, you know, I think it's time for us to just start over, keep it with one, right? Because that's like kind of a smart idea, because at this point, like, the whole multiverse idea is kind of played out, right? Because like this movie, Crisis on Infinite Earths, Part 1, Part 2, and Part 3, obviously that's a significant event in the DC universe, I guess, the comic universe. And then what do we have going on with Marvel right now, right? We have the whole multiversal saga, Phase 5 of Marvel going on, which is eventually going to lead to Avengers Doomsday, which is gay, by the way, with I'm stuttering bad right now. Robert Downey Jr. coming back as Victor Von Doom, which is gay, right? And then they're going to end it with Avengers Secret Wars. So it's like, it's funny that DC and Marvel are both going with the whole multiversal, right, crisis, world-ending events, right? So it's like, I don't know if this is planned. I don't know if like, I don't know what, right? But it's just like, it's just so weird to me that right now Marvel and DC are both going to that multiversal stuff, right? Whether it's with the live action or the animated stuff. I guess Marvel doesn't have too many animated stuff coming out, but it's like, so it's like, it's just kind of tiring. How many multiversal movies are we gonna get? We had what was the first one? It was Spider-Man, right? No Way Home. Then we had Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, and then we had recently Deadpool. Then we had Loki, right? Loki season 1, Loki season 2, and then in this, right, we have Crisis. We have freaking, what else? I don't think they've done the multiverse in the live action movies, actually, but I mean, they probably shouldn't, though. It's like I'm saying, the multiverse stuff's played out, right? Marvel's doing it, DC's doing it. Like, come on, let's move on to something new. Let's do something different, right? So yeah, one of the things that I thought was cool about this movie, Dr. Fate, right? Dr. Fate was pretty cool. You know, his design's freaking badass. His voice actor's pretty badass. He's probably like one of the more serious characters in the movie, and it's like, but the only thing that's kind of dumb is after the whole, right, like going through John Constantine's memories, he never really like does anything after that. So he has like a short cameo in this movie. He didn't really do anything in Part 1 or Part 2 because he was like chained up or something like that. I forgot what he was doing. So Dr. Fate was one of the cool things about this movie, but obviously like he has a small role and he doesn't really do anything after that. And there's also some stuff where it's like, all right, dude, this is just straight Doctor Strange right here. Like, they're just doing some dumb stuff. Another thing I like was John Constantine, right? I kind of miss the old DCAU version of John Constantine. He was pretty badass. I liked his voice actor. I liked his His character design, everything was about him was pretty cool. And then in this new like Tomorrowverse version of John Constantine, right? He's like some like wimpy Scottish guy, pretty dumb. He's drunk the whole time, doesn't know what he's doing. So like John Constantine is dumb in this universe, but I mean he's still pretty cool. He's like a cool character overall. Like, but he doesn't really do anything actually. Oh no. I mean no, he doesn't do anything actually. So I mean like the only thing he really does is he in the second movie he kind of remembers who he is and he ends up wiping out the dark forces or those dark creatures, whatever the hell they are, and he kind of like fights off the anti-monitor. And then that's all he does in the second movie. This third movie, he basically tells him like where he's from, right? What he did to restart the universe, bring about this whole multiversal crisis that's happening. So like it's pretty weird, but he doesn't really do much. But it's cool seeing John Constantine. So John Constantine and Dr. Fate, two of the coolest things about this movie, right? And then something that I talked about before, if you watched my podcast, right, the reviews that I've done of the Justice League, the Crisis on Infinite Earths before, or like whatever I guess podcast review, because I think I did a review on my podcast about was it Justice League the 2000s version, right? So I guess like one thing that I've been complaining about for a while was Jensen Ackles voicing Batman, right? I think that we can all collectively agree, right? Anybody who's a fan of DC, anybody who's a fan of the Justice League, anybody who's a fan of obviously Kevin Conroy and Batman, right? I think everybody here, we can all unanimously agree that Jensen Ackles is the worst version of Batman I have ever seen. I freaking hate Jensen Ackles. So if you're a puppy crying, I'm sorry. We're babysitting right now. She's fine. She's just being dramatic. But Jensen Ackles is like the worst version of Batman that I have ever seen. I hate Jensen Ackles' version of Batman, right? Because I remember being a kid watching the original 2000s version of the Justice League, right? Growing up with Kevin Conroy as Batman. You know, even like the Batman animated series, right? Batman was such a badass because he was like such a frightening hero to all the villains. But then he was also like a super kind, sweet guy, right? Where like he's like one of the most like kind-hearted, you know, courageous, brave heroes in the whole, I guess, universe, right? And then this version of Batman, Jensen Ackles version, right? I've heard people say Bat Ackles, right? And it's like, can these names get any gayer? The Bat family, Bat Ackles, like, dude, come on, like, everybody just shut the up already, bro. Like, everybody shut up, all right? So yeah, so like, Jensen Ackles is probably one of the worst versions of Batman that I've ever seen. I hate Jensen Ackles' version, right? He's cold. He's a dick. He's mean to Robin and Helena, whatever the hell her name is, his daughter. His technically son and daughter. He's mean to Damian Wayne, right? And in this version of Batman, I guess, this Tomorrowverse version, Batman ended up taking Dick Grayson to an orphanage because he knew that that training him to be a Robin would be a bad idea. So there's like just so much about this movie that's horrible, awful. Like I'm saying, please, for the love of anything, do not watch this damn movie. Save your money. You know, watch my review instead. Watch my Is It Gay episode 2 instead. You know, don't even watch this movie. It's not worth it. So yeah, I'm probably gonna end the video there, right? I'll probably do some more in-depth analysis maybe if anyone asks for it, which I'm pretty sure no one will. But yeah, so freaking Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 3, horrible movie. Do not watch it, right? But in the meantime, so if anybody's been watching this far, I sincerely and humbly thank you, right, from the very bottom of my heart. My name is NapesCape once again, right? You might know me from my Stoner Talk podcast YouTube channel, where I like to get high, drunk, talk about life, talk about myself. Or you might know me as NapesCape. I make music. I have an album that I released recently called 0 Likes, 0 Plays, 0 Followers. So go ahead and check it out, right? And if you made it this far, once again, thank you for listening. Peace out. And I guess have a good day. I don't know. Shut up.